have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Frankfort Township Board of Education has caused advance notice of this meeting and general agenda to be submitted for publishing in the official newspapers as well as district and municipal offices on May 17th, 2024. Please rise for the flags. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we're going to do a roll call. Kate Adam. Present. Jamie Armando.
Present.
Caitlin Fredo.
Present.
Mandy Joust is here. Jennifer Nouse.
Here.
Charlene
Here.
Olmar. Jesse Vaughn.
Here.
John Tiger said he'll be here in like 5 minutes. I don't know how you mark that. Okay. Okay, so first thing, with the vacancy of Leif Anderson, we are gonna open up the floor for the board to nominate a vice president. I nominate Caitlin Fredo.
I second.
Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Caitlin Fredo.
All right.
Congratulations.
Then we have the staff member of the month. Do you want to read that, Mr. Storch?
Sure.
Thank you.
This nomination was submitted by Lauren Gainey, Nicole Jarek, Jess Nunziato, Christy Visike, Jamie Wolf, and myself. It took that many people to come up with some good things to say. Actually, there were 9 of us, and 3 were just like, I'm out.
I'm out.
All right. Mike Lombardo is a candidate worthy of the recognition of Staff Member of the Month. He's an incredibly dedicated staff member who has come to our rescue so many times. If there's an issue, Mike is on it. Broken pencil sharpener, he fixes it. Busted shelf, fixed. Need tissue, Mike's the guy for the job. Passing out milk in the cafeteria, yeah, that's Mike. No matter the task, Mike is there with a smile and a helpful hand. These may seem like small things, but it turns out these are the big things. He is vital to the day-to-day operations of FTS, and a valued colleague and friend. He is reliable and always willing to help, allowing us to be better at what we do. Every day, Mike goes above and beyond to ensure our school is a clean, safe, and welcoming environment for students and staff alike. He consistently takes pride in his work, always with a smile. If a maintenance request is issued, Mike is the one who gets it done, regardless of what the job requires. Whether it's meticulously cleaning classrooms, ensuring the hallways are tidy, or taking care of whatever teacher requests pour through school dude, his dedication does not go unnoticed. Mike handles the cafeteria chaos like a champ. Helping the little ones, he is always patient, even getting sodas for cafeteria staff through the day. What truly sets Mike apart, though, is his positive attitude and rapport with all. He has formed meaningful connections with students and staff, often taking a moment to chat or encourage them. Forget trying to have a conversation with him at the elementary end while a class is walking by, for a barrage of hellos and hi, Mr. Mike are certain to bring your discussion to a screeching halt. We are so grateful for his presence, which contributes significantly to the nurturing atmosphere of our school. For all this and more, Mike deserves this recognition, and we hope he knows how deeply appreciated and loved he is by all.
So not only
What did you write in that?
I just showed up to read it.
not only do you get those kind words, but you also get a gift card. So thank you.
Thank you.
Are you a parent?
No, my son's in there.
Dave,
Oh, well, thank you for his service.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Right, somebody.
Oh. I wore my fancy sweater for you. Lucky you.
Good?
Great.
Thank
you.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Yep, thank you.
So next, thank you, Mr. Storch, and we're grateful to Mr. Lombardo. So next up, we have the recognition circle. So Jennifer Nouse will be our March recognition circle, and we've added Leif Anderson to April. There's no Frankfurt hero?
There is.
Oh, Frankfurt hero.
He was nominated today. He's an 8th grade student who has shown tremendous kindness, care for his classmates and peers. Specifically walking into my classroom to tell me that, somebody might be feeling bad and maybe I should check in on him. And he has truly grown to me, being here so short, to be one of the kindest students we have. And this month's Frankfurt hero is Malcolm Thomas.
When did he get his hero?
He will get it, he's at DC right now,
Oh.
so Friday probably.
And we have a student council update, Mrs. Sadowski. Oscar,
Yes,
is that
we do.
you?
Yep, Oscar's reading.
All right.
Good evening and thank you for inviting the student council to present their report. So far, we have had our student council elections, which is our representatives for each homeroom. We had 3 meetings, had our holiday dance last Friday, in which 77 students attended, including me. It was very fun. We have begun our fall food drive today, which will run until November 18th and will benefit the Lower Dive Ministry in Lafayette. We get the food to the pantry in time for Thanksgiving distribution. We're in the planning stages of participating in the Stuff the Stocking gift and toy drive, sponsored by Project Self-Sufficiency. Sponsoring a parents' night out again this year, sometime in December. Preparing to decorate the Christmas trees in both elementary and middle school foyers. And planning to help the PTA at the vendor fair if they need us. We meet twice a month during 7th period. The students bring their lunches and we eat and play in tents. We've got a bunch of great students again who are excited to be part of student council and have great ideas. Thank you so much for listening to our report. We will report again in November.
Thank you. Our next presentation is Mr. Simons with an update on summer enrichment.
All right. Yeah, in a perfect world, I would have done this about 2 months ago,
That's all right.
but
We're here
as we
today.
head into the dark days, let's get a reminder about summer. Summer Enrichment's a program that's been around for about 35 years. Some of you might remember Doug Post. He ran it for a long time and since retired. His son Brendan and I have taken over the program for about 7 years. We started with about 60 kids in the program. This past summer, we were up to 105, which is, as you know, our population, about almost a quarter of our school population attends summer enrichment, which built into a 10-member staff plus 25 volunteers. High school kids coming back serving for the community. They also need community service hours if they're interested, for Honor Society at High Point or wherever they're attending. But we have about 140 total in our program. It's a difficult program to run. Lost my place. So I type bigger now because I'm old. Anyway, part of our program is utilizing the classroom that has the kitchen attached with it. In the past year, we've run into some staffing situations where we use the room for, what's the official name to the program?
LLDMD.
LMDMD?
LLD.
Oh, LLD, right. Summer Enrichment has utilized that specific room for about 35 years. I'd like to see if there would be a way, and I haven't really spoken with them yet, but I wanted to make it aware to the public and to the board as well, that we can kind of work together, as we have been in the last handful of years, to continue using the program and not lose that room. Summer Enrichment, and this is something that I wanted to make clear to everyone again, Summer Enrichment is 100% self-funded. We run a lot of fundraisers throughout the school year, and for the second year in a row, it shows on our agenda that we are receiving grant money through ESEA Title I funds. I don't think that's accurate, and it could be a different organization, but it
might have
does
just been
mention
missed.
summer enrichment.
Yeah, no, that might have been misworded. That's for the extended school year program.
You can't swing some money towards us for that, though. Right, so with that said, it takes, it does
Right.
take approximately about $20,000 to run the program. One of the things that Brendan and I have spoken about in the past week or two is changing how we do our annual trip to Mountain Creek. Busing this past year was over $1,000 and will increase, I was told, significantly going into this summer. If need be, we're gonna do a pickup drop-off at Mountain Creek for parents. It would be the only way to save that amount of money. It's significant, it's a heavy hit. Because we also cover part of the funds for each person who attends the trip at about $15 a clip. So it was about a $2,000 loss for us, just around the trip.
We also have busing, finance issues.
Oh, I'm sure, no, I'm not saying that you don't, that's not why I brought it up. Point being is that I would love to see summer enrichment continue. I
Me
think it's
too.
vital for our school. Brendan and I work extremely hard, and the rest of the staff, Miss Murphy over here. I don't know if there's anyone else on staff here tonight who's been a part of the program. But anyway, we work extremely hard, and I think the community and the school district itself has seen its value over the years.
Absolutely.
You know, your kids go to it, Kate, your kids as well. It's valuable to the school, and I'm not just saying that because I enjoy running it. But I've seen what it can do for kids throughout the, not only for kids who attend, but for the kids who are in high school and beyond, who want to come back to help. I just hope that in some way, shape, or form, we can continue the program as is, but also realizing that times have changed significantly. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Newman, you're up.
Thank you. So you probably noticed this big screen behind me. I'd like to thank Howard Technologies for letting us demo this interactive flat panel. So one of the things when I came here, one of my goals is to bring technology and upgrade our technology, within the building. I have a lot of ideas, but we have to start somewhere. So luckily, I have a contact that works for Howard Technologies. They're letting us demo these boards to see if we like them, so we didn't pay anything for them. We're pretty much borrowing them, if you will. So I just wanted to kind of break it out tonight just to show just some of the capabilities within this. So I'm going to kind of work that into my superintendent and our principal updates. So kind of going back to the beginning of the month, we had a great fire prevention assembly, and all of these are coming right from our Bulldog Bulletin, so which are also accessible online on our webpage. But, we all have fire trucks. I figured I'd show you some pictures, right? There's some information here about our upcoming Halloween parade that will be on Thursday. So make sure if you're looking for details, like, hey, where's my third grader get picked up? You're gonna be by the buddy bench near, the front playground and so on and so forth. So then I'd like to talk a little bit about the Week of Respect, which is always the first week in October. We had our daily themes, so that was a school-wide theme, like every day something different to promote respecting each other and positivity. I know the middle school, right, Mr. Sylvester, I'll let you talk a little bit about Brian Thomas.
So we had Brian Thomas come in again. Brian was here last year. He has been here before. He is a Sussex County native. He was a stellar athlete for Sparta High School who has worked with Pass It Along, which was an organization that Kurt Walton was a part of and the CEO of, I believe. And Brian does a tremendous program where typically it's 3 days of in-class instruction of really about positive self-image, positive self-worth, how to set goals, how to really kind of uplift yourself and pull yourself up by your own bootstraps to kind of get through those tough middle school years. And the kids love him. I think him going into the classroom makes it a little bit more personable. They're not sitting in this auditorium where there's the entire middle school, and he meets them at their level and he sees them every day, and that kind of week-long intervention that they get with him goes miles. This year, since our entire middle school got it last year, this year our 5th grade, because they hadn't had it yet, got 3 days intense within their ELA classes. Then we were able to do 1 day with 6th grade, 1 day with 7th grade, and 1 day with 8th grade as just kind of like a refresher from what he had been. And we hope to kind of set that up year to year and have that kind of be a pivotal moment of our Week of Respect. here in October, and that was all graciously donated and funded by the PTA. So thank you, PTA. Without them, again, we wouldn't have been able to continue this great tradition, because the kids really do love it.
Thank you. So then let's move on to, I see somebody in the audience, we had a mayor's visit. Thank you to the mayors, Silverthorne and Prado, for coming in to speak with our third graders. It was a really great tie-in to our social studies curriculum, learning about government. They asked some really good questions, really good questions.
Where's your mansion?
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cool to get the third grade perspective, like the questions that they asked you, and thank you so much for your time and coming in and helping out our school and our kids with that. That was just a wonderful thing. Next, we're currently in Red Ribbon Week. The focus of Red Ribbon Week is students to stay safe, healthy, strong, and drug-free. And then I'd like to congratulate all of our athletes for a great season in field hockey and in soccer. And I know there's so many other things that our kids do that might not be school sponsored, but youth football and whatever it is, art, music, karate, for our students to go, beyond the walls of the normal school day for all their extracurriculars and, just being a well-rounded student. And let's see what we got here. Okay, so we have a Veterans Day ceremony coming up on November 11th, which is actual Veterans Day. So it's the kindergarten through fourth grade students will be participating in it. We formed a committee. Again, if you're looking for information, it's all right here in the recent Bulldog Bulletin. If you have a veteran that you would like to be honored, so you don't necessarily have to be kindergarten through fourth grade, it's open to middle school. Fill out the form. If somebody would like to come or if they're currently serving, please send us a picture. We'd love to honor and recognize them. So that's all right there. And then I think there's the Red Ribbon Week information, Governor's Educator of the Year nominations. We sent that out to the community as well. I believe it might have been done internally in the past, but we want to get also the parents, right? If there's a great teacher, or your child's had a great teacher in the past, or they currently have a great teacher, please don't hesitate to fill out the form. And
When is that due by?
so that is November 6th.
Okay.
November 6th. And then I see somebody else in the audience. We had Kindergarten Apple Day. So, great pictures, right? And all this is right there in the Bulldog Bulletin. So our goal is to keep you informed on a weekly basis, right from our website. If you're looking for it, you missed it. The email usually goes out around 3:30 every Friday, but you want to get caught up on Bulldog Bulletins, you missed it, that little tab right there will take you to all the Bulldog Bulletins throughout the school year. So, I think that's my update report. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Certainly.
Mr. Sylvester, do you have a further principal
do.
report? Okay,
You want me to sit here? Come on up.
come on up.
Step up to the plate here. My job here tonight is to present to you our NJSLA results from the spring of 2024. And to start us off, we just wanted to kind of speak to our CUSAC year last year. Last year, the county came in and did an audit on how we were doing. And one of the areas in which we did not pass was C&I, curriculum and instruction. And one of the things that is important to note as we go through this presentation is that out of the 7 schools who were CUSAC last year, all 7 schools did not pass curriculum and instruction for their NJSLA scores. So everything we're talking about here, we are not alone. This is kind of a countywide, I guess you could say, issue and something the county is trying to address as a whole.
If I could expand on that too, it's a statewide issue because only about 20% of the schools in the state that got CUSAC, and if you don't know what CUSAC is, it's the county office, the Department of Education comes in, they look at the 5 main areas, and then there's like indicators of all 5 of those areas, okay? So finance, governance, curriculum and instruction, personnel, and what was it? Facilities,
Yeah.
building grounds, okay? So, for whatever reason, the NJSLA is what is used to determine this. And the NJSLA is still using 2018 standards. Well, we're in 2024, standards have been upgraded across the board, curriculum has been modified to meet the state standards, yet the assessment is still based on 2018 standards. So it's not necessarily, in my opinion, a school across the state problem, it's a procedural problem with the actual assessment and their lack to adjust. So, my personal opinion.
So, a part of this, or because of this, what we had to come up with over the summer was this district improvement plan in regards to ELA and math. And this is how we plan here at Frankfurt to improve our test scores. One thing that we implemented up at the middle school level is that we have started ELA and social studies teachers cross-curricular infusion and implementation of grade level standard expectations. What that essentially means in short term is that our ELA and our social studies teachers have been given the opportunity during the week, at least once a month, every other week, whenever we really kind of see fit, to sit down and discuss, you know, what are you doing in the ELA room? What are you doing in the social studies room? How can we cross-curricularly attack these standards so that we can support each other? Are we all using the same rubrics? Are we all using the same methods and strategies? Are we all using the same scope and sequence and following these same patterns? What are you doing in ELA that I can support you in social studies and vice versa? And opening up those doorways and those conversation hallways, we've already seen some tremendous conversations being had, specifically in the ELA and social studies one with Mr. Simons and Mr. Storch back there. We talked about, okay, how do we really want to approach what we call a race paragraph? Is it RACE? If you need multiple pieces of evidence, is it RACCEE? Which way do you do? And it really kind of just opening up that dialogue so that we can get everybody on the same page and approach and tackle this as a team. What we're also doing is reviewing our student performance. This presentation, we are going to be going out to the staff after it was done here at the board and showing them and giving them the same presentation, again, so that we can be on the same page and we can move forward as a team together. We have been, as an admin team, needing to go over our student data, whether that's from MobiVax or IXL, just to kind of see where our students are in these benchmarks, where these instructional gaps could be, and how we can address them. We are asking our teachers to do the same as they do every day and have been, utilizing whether it be MobiMax or IXL to kind of address any gaps that they see within their classroom. Our curriculum coordinator is revising all of our curriculum K-8 to make sure that our standards are as up to date as possible. And this is not only in ELA,
I think
maybe-
you do the dots.
there we go. I just have to cross the threshold. This is not only in ELA, but it's also in math, where we have in ELA and social studies in that cross-curricular world, we also have math and science working together. And this has been tremendous. A lot of our science teachers, just for an example, in one of the meetings we had, didn't realize that, oh, you guys are talking about measurements now. We don't talk about measurements till March. Let us move our measurements units so that we can support each other and our students can really kind of build their skills throughout the school day and multiple classes. And the opportunity we have, at least in the middle school level, is definitely in the elementary school level as well, is that team time. So our teachers get their department team, they get their grade level team, and now they're getting this cross-curricular team time. And it's really allowing our staff to kind of, like I said, get on the same page and tackle some of these issues. Again, in math, we are using MobiMax and IXL to support any instructional gaps that we are seeing long-term, as well as we are seeing daily, so that we can attack and address those gaps as soon as we see them. And that is the long and short of our, science. For science, we are, like I said, those math and science teachers are working together to address any of these issues. This science portion of this state testing is rather new, so we're still kind of working through what or how or what these questions look like, how we should approach them, and our science teachers are working through that as well.
Then I think just a brief synopsis. So 3rd through 8th graders take the ELA and math assessment, and science is only 5th grade and 8th grade students take the science assessment.
Some intervention strategies that we've also been implementing. Let me get there. So Collaborative Classroom is our new ELA curriculum. We are in year 2 of this program for our K-4 teachers. We are continuing professional development with that. This is a program that what we talked about or what we discussed with our staff members is it was a lot that first year. And some of them were maybe a little overwhelmed because it was so much, but we kind of knew that going in, introducing this curriculum. And what we're hearing this year from our staff is it's tremendous. They love it. They, specifically our 4th grade team is really kind of going into this full circle and is really happy that we're moving forward with this collaborative classroom. We have addressed vertical articulated fluency expectations. Essentially, what are the skills that your 1st grader needs to know to be able to move into 2nd grade and so on and so forth. We've implemented benchmarks, grades 1st through 4th. Those benchmarks allow us to get data in real time to see again where our students are and where any instructional gaps may be so that we can attack and address them as possible. And as I said, we've started those cross-curricular team meetings.
How about the little dots? Use your knuckle. No,
Nope.
never mind, sorry. Nope, doesn't like you.
Doesn't
There you go.
As Greg, I was gonna say he'll be my van.
Yes, there you go.
As Greg pointed out, we do have a tremendous summer enrichment program. We feel that this does a great job at keeping our kids in that school mindset for as long as possible. Keeping them familiar with the building and with our staff is great. We also run summer RTI. We have RTI during the school day, which is small groups of students utilizing strategic skills. This is year 2 of SIPS as well. SIPS is a reading program, a phonics instruction program that we are utilizing within our RTI teams to try to build our phonemic awareness within our students. And then we also have Period 10. Period 10 is our after-school tutoring program. It's our homework help in which we have staff members stay after school where students can be nominated, I guess you could say, to attend Period 10, and there they receive extra enrichment, they receive extra help from a staff member. And this year we've actually opened up our doors to High Point, and we have a number of High Point students coming on Tuesdays and Thursdays to offer their help with the tutoring itself. We are offering them volunteer hours. We have about 4 to 5 coming every Tuesday and Thursday. It's been awesome. So far, it's early on in Period 10, so we don't have a lot of students. And with that, almost every student has gotten one-to-one instruction because of these High Point students coming down. It's been awesome. We're also opening it up to grade 4 this year. That's starting later on in the year, but we want to try to expand Period 10 to help as many kids as possible. Now, getting into our actual test scores. So this is our ELA. Overall, 60% of Frankfurt students in grades 3 to 8 are meeting or exceeding expectations compared to the state average of 51. We are absolutely crushing ELA. We are doing a tremendous job. I'm gonna get it one time, guys. Am I like
Tap.
Stand the other
Sorry.
Or tap.
There you go.
who would have thought the young guy kicked it? Is that what it is? Like I don't really hit it?
Gotta be gentle.
Oh, gentle.
Math, overall, 42% of Frankfurt students in grades 3 to 8 are meeting or exceeding expectations compared to the state average of 41. So again, we are still above that state average and we're still doing a tremendous job. Science. Overall, 22% of Frankfurt students in grades 3 to 8 are meeting or exceeding expectations in science compared to the state average of 24. We are a little bit lower in this science component, but I just recently joined a quote-unquote think tank of administrators within the county to discuss what is going on because we are actually the top 3 in science in Sussex County. Newton actually reached out to me and asked, what's going on? We need help. What are you guys doing? And I think something that we are doing that I've heard a lot of good things is we have introduced a new curriculum in our science, mystery science. And from the feedback we've gotten from our staff, they love it. It's got great programs, great videos, great tools that our students can use, and everybody seems really happy with it. So our subgroup data, we have fewer than 10 students in these subgroups, so we don't have to report out on that. The class of 2024 current 9th graders. So the 9th graders at High Point, our 8th graders last year. In math, as you guys can see, right, we have 2019, 2020 COVID, 2021, not applicable, and then we see our trends moving forward. With this grade, we see a steady average around 75%, which is phenomenal. You would see most of the state average here would be around 52, so well above. And then again in math, we are hovering right around that 40%, which is great. Again, the state average there would be probably around that 38 mark. So in this grade, we are doing well. This is split between 8th grade math and Algebra 1. Algebra 1 is the advanced math that allows you to take geometry your freshman year when you get into high school. And as you can see in that class, our students excelled. 70% met or exceeded expectation. In ELA, did that jump?
So we're in 8th grade? Yeah.
That's right, that's right.
That says current.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was on
Current, eighth grade.
Okay. Alright, yeah, duh. Sorry. As you can see, not applicable for those COVID years. And as we can see here, we are trending upwards from that 2022 year. In math, we have starting out at 16.9, dropping to 9%, and then bouncing back up to 22%. This 9% low has quite an asterisk. This year, our students there saw 3 different teachers moving through that year due to maternity leaves. And then this year, they also saw in their 7th grade year a maternity leave at the very end of the year. Crucial time in terms of test prep. But again, trending upwards. Those are all trending positive numbers. Our current 7th graders, right? We see 37, 63, 85, tremendous trending upwards. And in math, again, we're moving up. Our current 6th graders, right? We see 42, 24, 55. We see a little bit of a dip there, but again, we're still kind of climbing up that mountain. In math, same thing. We see a little bit of a dip, but we're moving up. Our current 5th graders, right? 43 to 44, 56 to 32. We are course correcting. Our 4th grade team is working diligently to address any gaps that they may have seen. We are working with our 4th grade team to ensure that those numbers continue to move up. And then our 3rd graders last year, our current 4th grade, did a great job, 57% of both ELA and math. Now when we compare those 57 to 48 for 3rd grade math, 57 to 43 in 3rd grade ELA, 32 to 46 in math, and like I said, our 4th grade team is addressing that, and we are working with them to address that. 44 to 51, like I said, we are working that. In 5th grade, we climb back up, 35 to 40. In ELA, 55 to 52. 41 to 36 in sixth grade. 85 to 53, crushed it, knocked it out of the park in our sixth grade. 22 to 38, and again, remember this was that year that saw that sixth grade maternity leaves, I guess, right?
Transitions.
Yes, that's the word. 47 to 54 in ELA. 70 to 40 for our Algebra 1 students from last year. And then 40 to 38 in our 8th grade math. 74 to 53 in our 8th grade ELA. Again, those numbers looking there, those trending upwards numbers are what we are happy with. We are seeing a consistent trend upward. And that's all we're really looking forward to. 97% of our students participated in ELA and math. 98% participated in science. Our 3rd, 6th, and 8th graders outperformed the state average in both ELA and math. Our 5th graders outperformed the state average in ELA. All tested areas are above the state average for meeting and exceeding expectations from 23 to 24. Remember, overall, we are at 60 compared to 50, and overall, we are at 42 compared to 41 in terms of percentage. So as a district, we are trending upwards. In ELA, 5 of the 6th grade levels increased their meeting and exceeding expectations. In math, 4 of the 7th grade levels increased the meeting and exceeding expectations. And in math, all grade levels increased across the 5 levels of achievement. So again, looking at our hard stats, we are trending upwards.
That's it.
And that's that.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvester.
Great job.
I guess these 5th through 8th graders too, are the kindergarten through 3rd graders the year COVID hit.
Correct.
So like
So
the
we are-
foundations
we are-
of that.
Still walking out of that.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvester. So now we're gonna open up public comment. Can I get a motion to open public comment?
Motion. Second.
So public comment is a 3-minute limit per person and a 30-minute maximum. Time in, Mr. Lassard?
6:38.
Anybody sign up? Is there a sheet over there? You signed up, Mrs. Eckert?
Yes.
Why don't you stand up and talk?
Thanks. I'd just like to begin by saying that I myself, and I know many people in the township, parents and people around, enjoy the Bulldog Bulletin, so thank you very much for doing that. That would be great. Good source of information. Also, 5th graders going to count on talk about what you mentioned about Brian Thomas. I actually got to go into one of his classrooms and he's excellent. He knows, like, within a day of being there, he knows almost every single student's name and he calls on them, so it's great, and the kids really listen to him, so thank you PTA for doing that and bringing that in. I'd also like to thank Mr. Sylvester for supporting all the sports events. I know we've had a lot of field hockey games and soccer games, so we really appreciate your support. The kids enjoy seeing you there, so thanks for coming. I just had a question, and maybe it was answered, I was a little late. On number 18 on the agenda, it mentions summer enrichment as being part of the federal grant. I know the summer enrichment is self-funded, so I just wanted to know.
Right, so that was answered. It's the extended school year, not summer enrichment. It's funded by that grant.
Extended school year, okay, all right, thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Also, earlier this month, we were instructed to change our formula for creating class trips for the funds, how it was funded. I know last year we had to start paying for the nurse and all the busing because of the budget shortfall, and I understand that. But then earlier this month, we received an email stating that we now had to account for those students who were either at IEPs in special education or were on free and reduced lunch. So, and then subtract them out of the number and then calculate them in for the final cost. So what that means when you interpret it is, say you have a class of 50 students and say 5 are on free and reduced lunch and 10 are on, have IEPs or special education, you would take the total trip cost and divide it, instead by 50, you would divide it by 35. So all the other parents that are not on free and reduced lunch or IEP students would have to cover those costs. So I really don't think as a teacher, as a parent in Frankfurt, my students, all kids all went through here, 3 kids, and as a taxpayer, that the other parent should have to pay for those students. It's just my feeling. I don't think the number also is accurate, because I know in the past, running the Camp Mason trip for, I don't know how many years, it's been running for over 55 years, and myself, I don't know, at least 20 running it, that we've never had a student not be able to go to camp because they couldn't afford it. We've always had money in our student fund, that each grade level had a fund, and I think a certain amount of money was put into that each year so that we could cover all those costs of students that weren't able to pay for it. And I just wanted to know where the board stood on that, and is that the formula we're gonna be following from now on? And how we, go from here.
You talking about any class trip or Camp Mason?
No, it was any class trip. So the reason I'm bringing it up is because I know myself when I read that, and I know others felt the same way. Why would we run a class trip? It makes it very difficult on us to put it out there, to run it, to say, okay, now instead of 50 parents paying for it, 35 are gonna cover the cost. And then even if 50 ended up paying for it, the extra 15 that we were paid, that where does that money go to? I know it was told to go back into the account, but it really isn't fair to have parents overpay for a trip. And I know it's, for me.
Exactly, your time is up.
Okay.
And I don't know the answer to your question, so we'll
Okay.
have to figure it out.
All right, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
No one else signed up, Mr. Lasar? No.
I had sent an email prior to the meeting, do you still need me to sign the paper?
You don't have to sign the paper, but you can stand up and give your commentary.
So many of you may know me, I was an active PTA volunteer for the last 13 years, on and off the board, serving many different positions. And today I'm here as a concerned parent of a disabled child who attends Frankfurt. It is now his 3rd school year here at Frankfurt. He attended the preschool program half day for 2 years and now is starting in kindergarten with the LLD program, but has been able to also be involved with the children without disabilities. So he does half day with the kids with disabilities and half day without disabilities, which in our opinion is great because he gets the best of both worlds. At our very first IEP meeting of having a child with a disability and having 2 children that previously graduated here without disabilities, we were handed by the child study team here 2 packets. This one is your parental rights in special ed, which has teeny tiny writing and what your rights are. The other one is the special education chapter 14, basically all of the New Jersey state rules and regulations regarding special education here at Frankfurt. That's it. We've probably met now in the last 3 years, maybe 15 times with the child study team. It's been quite a journey. We're really trying to take everything that has happened to us in a negative manner and turn it into something positive and try to help parents coming into Frankfurt going forward not have to go through the struggles that we've faced. We don't want any parents or other children to go through what our child has experienced here. So I would like to share with everyone tonight on the board and in the audience. First, I've created what's called an All About Dylan. This is my 6-year-old autistic son. This allows any new staff members, aides, paraprofessionals, and teachers about a quick 5-minute of who my child is with special needs, what his triggers are, what his interests are. He is partially verbal, so that he can communicate with those new staff members that don't know my child. Bear with me as I'm going to try to do my absolute best to not cry while I share some important information with you all tonight. Before I begin, I think I should first share with you all that I have had previously 2 of my other children graduate from Frankfurt, who got a wonderful education experience filled with lots of great memories. That being said, my youngest son, who was diagnosed with level 2 autism, is special needs, has an IEP, has learning disabilities, and I'm now disappointed to share the neglect he has endured already this school year surrounding his IEP accommodations not being met. Unfortunately, the progress that he has made which I'm now gonna allow my husband to finish, because he gets 3 minutes as well, correct?
Yes, I wasn't even going to stop you, Faith,
Okay,
actually.
Unfortunately, the progress that he has made over the last year and a half by having in-home CMO state services with 4 hours of therapy each week is now being exhausted on regressive behavior caused by neglected incidents that occurred here at Frankfurt. There's no reason for these unacceptable, neglectful incidents to be taking place at Frankfurt, whether it's lacking communication, shortage in staff, or a teacher not wanting to try a different learning approach than what they might be used to in the past. We as Dylan's parents feel that it's imperative for us to share these problems we are currently facing with the Board of Ed, other parents, as well as the community. We need to advocate not only for our child, but for all children attending Frankfurt regarding our recent neglect incidents and IEP accommodations not being met for our 6-year-old autistic son in kindergarten, so that no other child ever experiences this embarrassment, nor parents find themselves asking if they are doing enough for their child. We are hopeful that by sharing our recent negative circumstances, that it could potentially save another family or child from experiencing the pain that we've recently endured as his parents. In my opinion, with the mental health crisis across the country and neglect or abuse occurring with individuals of special needs in today's world, we all need to take the negative and do our utmost best to turn it into a positive. Did any of you know that Frankfurt Township School doesn't currently or has ever had a toileting policy in place for special needs children or elementary age children that are still learning toileting skills when entering preschool or kindergarten? I was unaware of this myself, even being a mother of a special needs child who's had an IEP for the last 3 years. Had I known this or been made aware of this, we could have clearly stated in his IEP to avoid this neglectful situation I'm about to share with you all. On Friday, September 20th, 2024, I received a phone call at 2:11 p.m. in the afternoon from the new school nurse, Elizabeth, leaving a voicemail stating no emergency. However, my son Dylan had had a bowel movement accident at recess and soiled himself, so they wanted to know if myself or my husband could pick him up since it was the end of the school day. After about 45 minutes from that call, my husband arrived here to pick up Dylan, and the school nurse had explained to my husband that due to school policy, she was not certified to clean him or wipe him after a bowel movement accident. When Dylan and my husband arrived home shortly after, we went to clean Dylan up. After having this accident, when removing his pants, we were mortified to find dried feces from his lower back to his ankles. As we both began to try and clean him up with wipes, we surely realized that wipes were not going to do the trick. We had to put him in a warm shower and bathe him so that we could scrub him clean, while he repeatedly said, with a frown on his face and tears in his eyes, "I'm so sorry, Mommy and Daddy, I didn't mean to have an accident." This lack of toileting policy is not even listed under the gifted and talented curriculum on our website. And as for the instruction for NJSLA, and in my opinion, this is not countywide. This is due to lack of staffing, as well as lack of communication or resources provided from our school to our parent community. We later found out that this was not a neglect situation by the new nurse. She's actually very pleasant. We got to meet her. But she came from Florida. And the policy in Florida was that parents had to sign a consent form to allow certain staff members to wipe their children. So I don't blame her, I blame the school for not teaching her what should have been done when my child arrived in the nurse's office. Busing accommodations for my special needs child were removed over the summer without having an IEP meeting. And it wasn't found out until the first day of school when my bus arrived for my child. There was no aid. The disciplinary approach that's happening here to special needs and overstimulation or inappropriate behaviors, in my opinion, is not what it should be. Youth sports for special education students with disabilities, we don't have them here at Frankfurt. Nikki D'Souza, our school social worker, I met with her several times at IEP meetings. Don't know if you're familiar with the CPEG group, stands for Special Education Parent Group. She's excited that I'm interested in getting this up and running for Frankfurt. We've never had it, and it's very difficult to get it up and off the ground. So I will be meeting with her in the next few weeks to hopefully get this started here at Frankfurt. We were recently approached by someone in the community to provide a donation because of our special needs child to help get something started here in Sussex County. My first point of action is to create a resource binder with that's going around of explaining to parents how important it is to create that for their own children, with phone numbers and emails and every possible resource available at their fingertips so they do not go through this journey alone. So we will be starting that with either our funding or this donation. There have probably been about 75 emails back and forth between the child study team, superintendent, nurse, social worker, psychologist since September 5th. The attendance of how many people we have enrolled here at Frankfurt compared to one social worker and one psychologist, in my opinion, is not enough. So when my child is screaming and has a tantrum and a meltdown and is overstimulated, Dr. McKenna is on the middle school side, who's there for my child. We've had 2 IEP meetings already since September 5th, totaling 4 hours. These were all things that were put in place before the summer, just to correct what he was not having met this school year. Special education curriculum, I asked to meet with Dr. Janine Mealy. There is no special education curriculum. I think we need to have one. Other schools in the community, Kittatinny being an example, has what they call service animals, emotional support dogs. If you've noticed, maybe you saw my daughter walk in this evening with her brand new 16-week-old adorable puppy, who she is having trained to be an emotional support dog. My daughter has suffered for the last 4 years because she went through COVID, missing her 8th grade dance, her in-person Frankfurt graduation, her freshman year on virtual land, went away to University of Hartford, and is now taking a medical leave of absence while she deals with her anxiety and her stress. I think Frankfurt needs to look into having a service animal or 2. We are willing during this 6-month leave while we get this dog up and trained for emotional support to bring it into Frankfurt and give it a shot. Let's see how it does. We get free in-home therapy offered by Perform Care of New Jersey. It's called CMO Services. We get a case manager and we get 2 therapists a week, totaling 4 hours of in-home therapy outside of Frankfurt. Those are free services. Not once did the school give us those resources to contact Perform Care of New Jersey, who took a huge weight off of our shoulders 2 years later. That's something that will be in the portfolio to these parents that are coming into their first IEP meeting. All about my child, what I shared, as I said, we'll pass around the audience so they can see as well. ABA therapy, Brave Wings in Sparta. One of the staff members at our first IEP meeting had heard of them, didn't know much about them. Can't say enough wonderful things about them. They are now located in Sparta. They were in Andover. They are an ABA therapy that works with your health insurance, where you would basically pay a copay. They offer after-school activities as well as ABA therapy for speech, PT, and coaching. Just as Kids and Teen Scene, they provide weekend programs with Spark, who I just recently got hired as an assistant manager for a group. Dylan is part of the Just As Kids program in Sparta, 3 Saturdays a month from 10 to 3. The state provides him with resources to go on day trips. They go to museums, zoos, do Sky Zone. They just went pumpkin picking, pumpkin painting. It's wonderful. And these are free services in Sussex County that, again, our school is not sharing with us special needs parents. DD eligibility, again, allows you to get those free state services. We were not informed of that. My new job, I'm hoping to have more resources here for Sussex County and Frankfurt at my fingertips. Resources such as an organization called As You Are. It took us almost 2 years to get a diagnosis because of COVID waitlist. As You Are is a virtual diagnosis. There is no waiting. Be able to share resources with families. There's a special place in Nutley, New Jersey. It's about an hour and a half from here called Your Kind of Cuts. You may have seen it on TikTok. They perform special needs haircuts. The gentleman is amazing. They do in-home and in-person.
Faith, is this all stuff that would be in that CPAC? I'm sorry, what was the group called that you went?
CPAG, S-E-P-A-G.
So this is all stuff that would go over
Correct.
in that group to help guide parents.
Right, so that
Through
they're
this.
not basically trying to do self-research, Google what to do. There's currently, I saw an open Board of Ed position to kind of fill in for vacancies. I will be applying for that. I think that the Board of Ed needs
Well,
some.
I'm sorry, but that was closed on the
Oh,
25th.
It closed.
You had to have your literature.
I thought it was the 28th, so that was my apology. But anyway, I think at some point, the Board of Ed needs someone, even if it's a volunteer, to join in on the special needs side. So if parents come to meetings and they have questions, there's someone who has the availability to these resources. I do wanna thank the Summer Enrichment Program and all the staff, as well as the majority of Dillon's teachers and aides for making the accommodations met. As I said, over the last 15 years on and off the PTA board, I'm just very saddened and disgusted and appalled, to say the least, that these situations are happening here at Frankfurt. Tonight, we're asking you all for your help and support to be the voice for our children that struggle to verbalize their needs and help us implement policies to protect our children who have special needs, but are all people first before they're labeled stamps or diagnoses. And I just wanna share that I have my friend Randy here tonight, whose son was a previous Frankfurt graduate with my daughter. He would have graduated with my daughter in June, and at the age of 15, going through COVID, tried to commit suicide. He is now on life support. He is fully vegetative. And she's here to show just how bad the mental health crisis is, along with the special needs. This is unacceptable, and we're asking that you please look into these incidents. I would be happy to provide you with any paper trail emails. We have our CMA services coming in every week. They're state mandated reporters. These are huge red flags here at Frankfurt. They are asking me to call Trenton at this point and get the state involved. I don't wanna do that. I wanna allow time. But I can't allow too much time because my child was left in a hallway alone and locked out of a classroom, we've gone back probably 15 steps when we should have been going ahead 20. So now we're having problems putting him to sleep at night because he's afraid he's gonna be locked out. And if he has a night terror so severe regarding what has been going on here, he will self-harm. And then we are on our way to the hospital because we can't control him at 6. That's all I have.
Thank you, Faith.
Faith, do you think you could put that in? I appreciate you speaking. Could you, it was a lot of information. Could you put an email out to us with that information?
To the board?
Yeah, I would appreciate that, yes,
What you
please.
do is
Thank
you email Mr. Lassard.
Yeah.
And then ask him to forward it to the board in the body of the email. Thank you for coming tonight. Motion to close public comment.
Motion.
Second. And that leads us into executive session, and we do need to take a couple minutes in executive session, a couple, probably 20 is what we always say. So, yeah, we've listened.
No, we need to see the
Can I get a motion to go into executive session?
motion.
I just have to get through this real quick, and then consent agenda.
That's for me tonight.
Yeah, and I have to eat dinner, I'm starving.
There's a football
That's probably
quiz
why I
tomorrow for the.
Hey, your 8th graders are
Is
doing
there?
good, I got a lot of pictures, but I
got a bunch.
Did you get
Post-
pictures?
Yep.
I got a bunch.
Tomorrow morning's my day 1 recap.
Oh, they did so good.
Yeah,
I like
they
it.
look like they're having a blast.
Yeah, they are.
Send me any you got.
I'll send you what I
Charlene,
got.
Yeah.
I'll send them to you.
Oh, okay. This is a first. I'm gonna sit.
It's just a
Oh, see, we switch sweets, huh?
in front of myself.
We're like cows.
Come on, she has four.
I sent it to you.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't know, I didn't even know.
The dance, they're not good. I was like, when those guys got out there, I was like, they had, did you hear the music?
Oh, yeah.
They had my radio playing, they had this, and it
Miss Deb was killing
Miss
it.
Deb, she was dancing, oh my god, I was so impressed, I'm like, listen.
There's a lot of that.
Oh, they were all dancing out on the sidewalk on kids.
It was great.
Oh.
Okay, so we are back, we're back in order here.
Thank
So thank you. We have the communications and public relations next. So we have a lot of monthly activities in November. They're all listed here. So it's Red Ribbon Week, the eighth grade is in Washington DC this week. We have the K through 4 Halloween parade at 2 p.m. On Halloween. We're closed for Teachers Convention, the 7th and 8th. On the 11th, we have the Veterans Day ceremony for the K through 4. The 12th, we have a PTA meeting. And the 16th is the PTA's Tricky Tray, so donate to your class, donate from your family.
And go.
Come to the Tricky Tray. It's at the Richards Building at the Fairgrounds. We have parent-teacher conferences, the 18th through the 20th, which means an early dismissal at 12:45. On the 21st is picture retake day. We have an early dismissal for Thanksgiving on the 27th, and then we're off the 28th and 29th for Thanksgiving. So, lot to do in November and a couple days off, so that's nice. We do have, under policy and curriculum, some policy reviews that are going on and going, if passed in the consent agenda. So we'll have the wellness and nutrition. That's NJDA mandated annual review of that policy. We have a bathroom assistance policy and a field trips policy. So those are all, the last two are in the first reading. And then we have finance, physical plant, and transportation. So Mr. Lassard, do you have an update on the roof project and the
Roof
sewer?
project, we're nearing substantial completion, actually just received a request for documentation for that to get most of our ROD grant money reimbursed. We still have a change order pending, they've looked at it, they're still trying to figure out what the best way to address the seam between the two sections of the building, B wing and C wing. So B wing is at the end of this hallway, C wing is where the gym is located. So we're trying to work, figure out the best way to do that, also to make sure we're making the most out of the ROD grant funds that we have. So trying to get everything I can done in there rather than lose the 40% funding.
So did we get a roof warranty on the
Yes.
B wing? Okay.
I think that was 30 years, and then what we're trying to address in the seam between the two buildings, that would also be, it's just whether I can expand it a little bit to get part of that roof done at the same time. In a way, do a repair that it expands that section of the roof.
Like flashing it?
No, it would be flashing the seam, but they have this liquid or roll-on roofing membrane that comes with a 25-year warranty. Apparently, that section of roof, based on its condition and age, is a valid candidate based on the company that makes the product. So I'm just trying to see, either we're doing only a few feet of it, or we can do several feet of it. That's what I'm trying to see what we can do within the parameters of our grant. So that's still ongoing. If we are able to do that portion, it would probably happen in the spring, because now we're getting too cold in the season. Sewer project. We did meet, Brian, myself, and with Mike Clune. We met with an engineer from Kleinfelder, who was the original engineer on the sewer project. This was strictly just they wanted to come in and just take a look at the site, so we came over, met with them, met with the one engineer because she was not on the original project, but she's taking over a lot of these projects for that company. We showed her the drawings, kind of where we're at, what has happened to date, showed her where on the drawings where things were originally with the project, and just kind of walked around and talked about ideas. So that was just a preliminary meeting. She was gonna start drafting up a proposal to see about doing engineering work or the next phases. At that time, we would certainly have the mayors, the town councils, in on the discussion. This was kind of a short-term notice. They gave us a 3-hour window when they might show up. And then, so we just met with them, but it was no intentions to leave anyone out. It was mostly just a FYI meeting at that point to kind of familiarize the engineer with the status of the project that has happened and what we are considering going forward. That's it. Now, in the agenda, I do have we have annual maintenance, annual items that go for CUSAC, which is our school facilities checklist. That's the safety and security checklist that Brian Bansimer does. He goes through the building, checks off all items. Our biggest issues usually are, we have groundhog issues, we have a few other facility issues that keep responding, and that has nothing, not necessarily to do with the construction of the building, but there are ongoing things with regards to test issues or things of that nature. Our comprehensive maintenance plan, our annual maintenance budget form, which is M1, that tells us minimums that we must make sure we budget to plan for upkeep of the building. This is what our maintenance reserve usually goes to. I try to put about $20,000 to $25,000 every year in there. You can see we're already using some for fixing the ventilation in the middle school offices, as well as repairing, we've used it to repair the chlorinated pumps for the well. And then also annually we update our long-range facility plan for all projects that are in there, and that is the driving factor for our calculation of what we can put into our capital reserve, is our LRF projects. Other than that, I don't have anything significant to update.
Okay, so school safety and climate, we had a fire drill on October 18th, an evacuation drill on October 21st. Last week was Violence and Vandalism Prevention Week. We had a school bus evacuation drill on October 4th, and that was supervised by Mr. Lazard, Brian Bansimer, security guard, Mr. Newman, New Jersey State Police, and the bus duty staff. After that, we have the consent agenda.
I have a question.
And Jennifer has a question.
Is number 5 supposed to be October 7th and not September?
Yes, October 7th.
Okay.
That's noted.
Thanks, Jen. Alright, so do I have a motion to vote on the consent agenda, and it is numbers 2024 1028-3 through 2024 1028-26.
Motion.
29.
29,
Sorry, 29.
all the way through 29. I have a motion from Caitlin and a second from Jen. Sorry, Jessica, it's ladies' night. Be it resolved that the Frankfurt Township Board of Education accept the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools to approve the above identified regular agenda items numbered 2023-1028-03 through 2024. Mr. Lasard. 1028-03, 2024, 1028-29. We'll do a roll call. Jesse Vaughn,
Yes.
John Tiger,
Yes.
Charlene Mulnar,
Yes.
Jennifer Nous,
I have to abstain from 3 and 4, but yes.
Caitlin Fredo,
Yes.
Jamie Armando,
Yes.
Kate Adam,
Yes, abstain 3, 4, 5.
Mandy Giles, yes.
I have to abstain from 4. I don't need to speak out.
That's right.
Alright,
John's gonna abstain from 4.
executive.
So that leads us to our second public comment. Mrs. Ecker?
Just a quick question.
Oh, motion to open from Kate.
Motion.
Second. Sorry, Mrs. Ecker.
That's okay. Quick question, when we do policy reading, is it typical, I know that I've never heard anybody read the actual policies, but is it typical for the public not to know what the policies are until they're approved?
Yeah, so you have the first reading.
But you guys get it, we don't know what the reading is, so is there any way, I don't know if that,
Well, I guess until it's approved, it's not a policy on the second reading, so it could get revised.
okay, so the public has no access, is that typical with all, most of the time?
Oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Okay, alright. On the field trips, was there a policy made in regard to what I mentioned earlier? We can't talk about it?
It's not about not about the funding.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anybody,
And
Oh.
it's about public comment, is there anything?
anybody for public, that was
No,
Mrs.
no.
Zachary. Anyone else for a public comment? Yes, Mrs.
I
Healy.
just have a quick question that I forgot to mention when I was up. Does the Board of Ed by chance know the policies relating to incidents being reviewed on video footage, and also with regards to if it is, I guess, by law, by the state, or by the school, maybe it's a bylaw, that if a special needs parent requests a parent's name, so that, for instance, we constantly see like the same triggers happening around a specific teacher or para, and we go into an IEP meeting and we ask for that person's name. We were told that they are they are independent contractors that are hired through Frankfurt, but the reasoning that they wouldn't give us the name was because they didn't want us to reach out to them directly, but it wasn't for that purpose, it was for us to find out if that particular person maybe was triggering our child, per se, to work with our in-home CMO services, so that we could work out a way. I'm not sure if the board knows these policies or not, it was just a question.
So we have policies, and I'm trying to be so compassionate here. The board has to act as one whole unit.
Right.
So even though I'm the president, I can't speak for what all of these other board members think. So public comment is really a comment that you're given.
Okay.
And it's not like a back and forth discussion.
So you can
so if
say
you-
something, but you can also wait or.
If you were to email Mr. Lessard,
Right.
and ask him to forward it to the whole board, we would then be able to review.
Address it that way.
But yeah, that's
And the
kind
only
of-
reason I asked is because we did bring it up in an IEP meeting, but I couldn't find it on the school's website as a
Right,
policy.
and I think like IEP meetings,
Yeah.
the board is not privy to any information in any student's IEP meeting.
Okay.
That's not our job, like we're not here to run the child study
Of course,
team
no.
or any of that, so,
Of course.
and that's still confidential even to us. We don't get to know about those intimate details of an IEP
Unless
or
the
504
parents
plan.
decide to share with you.
Right,
Right.
but again, I can't comment on it, I'm not an IEP specialist or.
But I could reach out to Chris privately and ask to.
He would forward it on to us for us to review.
Yeah, I
Read and
would
review.
forward it to the board, and if
Yeah, I mean, so
determine we would have
obviously
a
I'm gonna do a
committee meeting or
synopsis of what I stood up and said, but can I include those few questions in there as well to the board to address?
Yes, it
Okay.
just, it's very hard for me, Faith, because I am so compassionate towards your situation and maybe it's not the board that would answer. Like, really, the chain of command at the school is to go through the teacher. If you can't get through to the teacher, you go to the principal. If you can't get through to the principal, you go to the superintendent. And then when you do all of that and you come to the board, and believe you me, I was on the other side of this for a long time, and I came to a lot of board meetings expressing concerns that I had. And it's very frustrating to sit over there and have this person sit here and be like,
Right. No, I
can't
get
say anything.
So we followed the chain of
I
command,
feel
which
for
is
you.
what led me to coming in here today. So
Right,
that's
and
where we're
I mean,
at now.
I
didn't
appreciate your
reiterate that,
vulnerability.
but-
I am so compassionate towards your situation and, you know, again, if you email Mr. Lassard and have him forward it to the board, then that would
Understood.
probably be a
Thank you, I
best
appreciate
bet,
it.
but I,
No, that's fine. I just, again, we're still new to a lot of things and we don't really know until something happens, how to approach it or how to request something like that. I may know a lot about like the PTA volunteer side, but this is something that I'm just
Right.
not familiar with
Right.
as a pretty new parent, even though he's 6. He only got diagnosed 3 years ago, so this is still a new journey for us, so we're just trying to kind of navigate through how to go about certain things. So I appreciate that.
absolutely, yeah. Thank you for motion,
I just wanna clarify, so if you send to me, I will forward to the board, but the board itself is not allowed to discuss it among each other
Got it.
between, so it'll be something like Ms. Giles may say, we're gonna have a committee meeting and we'll have a committee together, a policy committee to discuss.
And it could come at a
Or
later
meet
time
with
or something like that after like you talk about it or amongst
Yes.
yourselves. Okay,
Potentially
that's fine.
makes a, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you for letting me know.
anyone else for public comment?
That was it.
Just for clarification purposes for now organizing any field trips, I know you have a policy, but you said it's not due to funding. Are we to continue to follow, to have, if we create a field trip for our students, that we take out the number of students that have free reduced lunch, plus all the IEP students?
So, I mean, the formula that Mr. Lassard sent to the entire staff is very similar to all other schools and what they use. So I would recommend just the formula that Mr. Lassard notified the entire staff of, continue to follow that formula.
So other parents will be paying for students that can't afford to go.
Possibly, but if there's any excess surplus, it gets rolled into the class account. It follows them from year to year. So and I don't want to say too much, and I know we can talk, if you'd like to come in tomorrow, we can talk further about it.
Okay. Is there in the future, when hopefully funding gets a little bit better, is there any plan to put money back into each grade level's account so that we can avoid having to do this kind of formula and having other parents pay for other parents?
Mrs. Eckert, right now, we are going year by year on our funding, and it's not a pretty picture. And last year during the board meetings regarding the finance committee and the budget, let everyone know that we are continuing to struggle here at Frankfurt.
But
And that it may not get better. So in the future, if we have a windfall of money, I would love to put money into every class bucket. It's probably not the reality right now.
But we're not getting cut anymore next year.
I can't tell you that either.
No idea.
Right, we don't know the idea, but as of the 2008, where that whole process, that was all
That's completely.
done. Right, but we don't know what we're getting. We could get more, we could get less.
We could get nothing.
We've been told to expect flat funding.
What we got last year. We got $29,000 more though last year than we were supposed to get. According to
27.
Funding. What was that?
27,000.
27,000.
So unfortunately, we won't know those exact figures until the beginning of March.
Right,
So it gives us 2 weeks to figure out a budget, but it has to be voted on by March, what is it, 16th?
We have to have it submitted by the 20th.
March. So we're gonna plan for all different kinds of scenarios, but
right.
the reality is we'll have 2 weeks to figure it out.
Right,
We know
we won't know
exactly
until
what
you
the
get the
numbers are.
numbers.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
sure.
I didn't sign the form, but just have a quick question. Why, and it doesn't have to be answered, but why would children with IEPs not need to necessarily pay for their field trips? Because I understand the free and reduced lunch and the financial burden, but I mean, I work in special education. There are plenty of families that have students with IEPs who are not in a financial hardship that would be able to pay for their own children. And I pay my children's fair share of their field trips and things, and they are getting very expensive, but if I decide that my child has to sit out because the trip has gotten so expensive, because I'm paying for other people's children, then that's not right. So I understand the free and reduced lunch, but people with IEPs don't necessarily have a financial hardship.
Unfortunately, it comes from the state.
Yeah.
And the state also says, if you read the next one, 0.3 or whatever, it says regardless whether they meet the requirements for free and reduced lunch, if they say they can't pay, and no child will be excluded. So that's what the state has come down to say. So, and basically that's what we've done here for years, and the school has paid the difference. Right now, we're saying, okay, now we're gonna put it on the parents, and that's where us as teachers are like, and I gotta be honest, I feel like, we're not gonna do anything extra, you know, we'll do our Camp Mason, we'll do what we can, but I think a lot of teachers are scared. Like, for example, like to go to kindergarten, always used to go to the library. Should be a free trip, right? It's right here, but you gotta hire the nurse, you gotta hire the bus, and if they're like, forget it. We're not gonna charge a kid $5, $10 to go to the library when they can go there free. So unfortunately, that's what's happening on the teacher end, that a lot of teachers are feeling like, I feel bad for parents having, you know, everything for them.
All right.
Good, all right,
Me too,
goodbye.
Mrs. Sarah.
Okay.
But yeah, we've actually, been informed that we have had very minimal times where people could not afford
Right.
a class trip.
That's why I'm afraid if you put them in that formula, you're gonna be way over, I don't know, that's how I feel, whatever.
I can explain the formula after.
Oh, I understand the
I send it
formula,
out.
but I'm saying, we've only had a few in each class that have ever had to use it. So to take 15 kids now and subtract them from the cost and put them on the burden of
That was definitely not how I explained it in my message, but I'll explain it. I'll send out a clarification.
Okay, that'd be great, cause most
The
teachers.
idea is not to
okay.
drive up costs, it is to help figure out a formula on how to estimate the costs of field trips.
Right, but that's what you're saying is what we would have to do.
Not exactly.
Okay, let's talk about that later. We're getting late.
Can I just make one quick comment on her request? Did you by any chance go to Mrs. Carreri for the special program that she does or the PTA for funding, extra funding?
I'm on the Health Foundation.
Oh, you're on the
Yeah,
health,
yeah,
okay.
and we decided, they came to us and we decided that's not something we wanted to get involved with at this point, cause it could be endless.
The only
Okay.
reason I asked is the
Wait,
PTA
okay.
used to fund.
We're gonna,
Get a little off
yeah,
topic.
motion to close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, any other items are good to the order?
Yeah, one thing. So I attended in person and Charlene attended online on October 1st, the Sussex County School Board Association meeting, at Farmstead Boston Country Club. The main focus, they talked a lot about, workshop, which already just now happened. And then the main meeting program was guiding principles and the board's role in policy, interestingly enough. So we learned and were educated, from NJSBA about policy, so just
Great. Also, everyone, it's getting to the end of the year and you have to complete your governances, whether 1, 2, or 3, so just make sure that you did that, if you haven't. Go to the PTA, Tricky Try, support the PTA. Anything else? No? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Alright, thank you guys.
Game done.
Faith, don't forget your packet.